Hey, thanks for joining me. So we are about to put in this helical head from FindBuyTool into this DeWalt planer. So right now I got straight blades in. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark and run a board through with just the straight blades. Then we'll do the swap, and then I'll run another board through. This is just pine, and I'm hoping that we'll see a difference here. There's a lot of different types of helical heads that you can go with. This is the budget-friendly one. It cost me about, I think it was like $375 shipped to the house. It came with some extra tools, torque limiting tools, and extra blades. So that was $375. I think the Helix head at the time of searching for all this stuff, which was like 2 months ago, so April of 25, that was about $900, which is completely wrong. It was $475, and this is a budget build, because if you haven't watched the previous video that I made for this, I got it for $100 because it didn't work, and it was a $10 fix, and so I bought the helical head to go with it. So all in all, I have a total of, so it's like $500-ish, give or take. That's not bad for a planer that has new heads on it. So I have the Helix head in the jointer, and I love it. I'm expecting some solid value out of this as well. So let's get to it. All right, so obviously dust collection helps a lot, but so for the straight, pushed it through, and you can see some raised spots raised here. This is where it stopped, and I had to start pulling it out. So that's kind of about the finish that I saw beforehand, where you run it through and it's going to need sanding. So the idea here with the helical head, when we do that one, it should be sandpaper quality. Let's see if what I want we will get. All right, so the larger of the two was the torque screwdriver with the proper bits. These are my extra a 10-pack of blades. Who doesn't love a box in a box? So we have instructions. We have two sets, or I guess one set, two different torque screwdrivers, 60 blades, and a bunch of screws. Under that, we have the actual tool itself. So this is oily, and I don't want to mess with it too much, so I'm going to leave it wrapped until we get to the installation. All right, first, let's take off the lid. Remove the finger clamps. Bigger screws, I guess. This is why you want dust collection. To make removal a little bit easier, I'm going to take out the blades and this. All right, and once the blade is out, you just push down this device and roll it over, and you can get to the next head. All right, with the blades removed, now we can turn this side over here without the wheel. All right, these screws, these pull out. Now we need some snap ring pliers. So I don't exactly have the right tool here. Very unpopular opinion is two picks can do the same thing. You just need to maintain downward pressure and keep driving the two corners away so that you hold on to each clip. All right, the tensioning is with this spring. And then you pull both of these off at the same time. 5mm Allen for the gearbox. If you take a second to look how all this is at, particularly this collar here, and then how far this comes in, because when we pull the gearbox out, this all has to come back into place. So I'm going to loosen these up as well, just to help me remove and install it. All right, it's just loose, it's not, I didn't take it completely off. All right, some wiggling. All right, and it will not come all the way out because there's a tab and a screw on the inside. If you remove that, then yes, it could come all the way out. All right, now we're ready to spin it around. Handle comes off using the tool. All right, same thing with this pulley and the spring. Since this whole pulley has to come out, we're gonna remove the tensioner pulley. It's got some Loctite on it, so you gotta make sure you push in while you're turning. I'm using a number 2 Phillips gets you the most the best chance of pulling it out without stripping it. These are number 4. It feels like it's 15/16. Oh my goodness, and it's hand tight. It was like, I probably could have worked that free with my fingers. The pulley goes up and down, and I'm gonna need to put it back on. So the idea is that we can just walk this around. This might be easier if the whole thing spins. I have my finger in here holding this down so this can spin. And then I'm going to walk this pulley out just by constantly pulling down and pulling towards me. Make sure the key comes with the pulley. And then this snap ring needs to come out because we're pounding the drive this way. There's a spacer in there too. All right, so now I'm gonna take a piece of oak and give it some lift taps. I missed a small step, and that's removing this piece from inside. But now that it's out, the tapping shall continue. One thing I need to do is remove this, which I heard was a 4mm. Let's see if that's true. And to hold it, I can put a wrench right here. 6mm, actually. There's not a ton of space for me to use the proper wrench. I'll use an adjustable too. All right, now with the FindBuyTool, all right, now gotta clean out these journals. And back sticking out of the gearbox, there is plenty of grease. So wiping some of that in the journal will help with insulation of the new bearings. If you want to put new stuff in there, general purpose grease would be perfect for this part. All right, for installation, the gearbox goes that way. And it is a tight fit. Oh, that's awesome. All right, so if you remove the rubber piece out of a 3/4 or probably even 11/16 spark plug socket, you can slide it over and it touches the bearing, and that is a better spot to hit. Again, I'm just going to tap it in to get it lined up. I believe that is in there. Let's see if the snap ring will go back. It does indeed. Spacer goes in. Rotate it so the key is up. Key goes in. Pulley goes on. I'm going to shove a piece of wood in here. All right, now the 2 screws holding that lock in place. All right, that's still not enough. Let's put some plywood in here. All right. I'll say that's considerably tighter than it was before. All right, so the rest of this can go back together now. Not too bad. So putting it back on was actually way easier than taking it off. Putting as much pressure on the belt itself and pushing it where you want it to go was key. All right, so for these guys, you got to match up the keys. So turn that key and this key. Boom. Pulley goes in, or the tensioner pulley goes on. Make sure the little groove is resting on the belt, or the chain rather. All right, grab some grease from the gearbox and cover the gear. I had to rock the cutter head so that the gear would match up, and then it finally pushed in. All right, I want to take a minute to point these out again. So the shaft has to come all the way through, so the collar is here. This pin has to line up on this, so you might have to wiggle that up or down to get it to line up, and then I loosened this to help me out there. So now I'm going to tighten this. All right, same thing with this side. Make sure that you line up your gears. If that one doesn't line up, so just rotate it. It looks like it might need to go one more. There we go. Do a wiggle. Get them on. Now we gotta do snap rings. Oh, actually, pay attention to this. There's a spacer on this one. I dropped it. I thought it was the snap ring. So it'd be a lot easier if I had the correct tool here. As you can see, I am using my finger to push the top of it and hold it in. And then I am spreading with the other pick. If you can spin them around and it stays on, you know you got a good seal. There is the rest of my glove. All right, so that was awesome. The swap itself, even with recording, took about 45 minutes. That was insanely fast. Actually, I was prepared to do about twice that. I imagine it'll take me a solid 40 some minutes to put all of the cutter heads on though. So that part might take some time. So with this, you're gonna have to turn these as you go. And of course you don't want any debris or whatnot. So this one's up. I'll just tackle this first. All right, there you go. And I'll just do snug. That way I can come back with the torque and do it. So to get over here, I'll have to loosen this up a little bit, rotate it. Very important that you have them all rotated in the same way. So I have the little star and the 1. All right, so this happened to me twice, so I figured it's worth talking about. As I tighten this down, this one is off-centered a little bit. And I can't quite wiggle it in place, so what I have to do is back it out. And then let it come back down. One of the ways that you could tell if it's not sitting properly is you want the same gap around the screw all the way around. If you see that there is a large gap over here and no gap over here, then it's not sitting correctly. All right, so I finished an entire row. So I'm gonna take a brief minute to look at how it's rotated, and they're all sitting the same way. So then now I'll take this 6 Newton meter torque T-handle and tighten them. So now it's time to shift to the next row. Clean it off, make sure there's no debris, and repeat the process. So this is the straight, and you can see a little bit of chunks taken out, and it's pretty rough. This one here is pretty smooth. There are a little bit of divots. You can kind of see some raised grain there. But when comparing the two side by side, I think that this has a far better finish than this one. I believe that this ran quieter. It wasn't as loud when it went through. And then another huge thing that I want to point out. This is the chips that came off of the straight blade. This clogs up my dust collection. Now there's a little screen, a little cross that goes in the inlet. And these clog it up, and within a couple of passes I have to take the hose off and clean it out. These are the chips from the helical blade. These tiny little things will not clog, and I'll have better efficiency with the dust collection. So the comparison is huge as far as that goes. I'm super happy with the way that this turned out.